Hello, my name is Nicole Schenk and I'm applying to be a Dawn for the 2021 to 2022 school year. I am currently finishing my first year in the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program here at Nipissing, and I'm so excited. So this is just going to be me answering interview questions for you guys that I've assigned. The first question is highlighting 3 skills, competencies, or experiences on your resume that would help you manage completing goals, tasks, and demands of being both a student and student employee in a peer educator program. The first skill that I possess would be my ability to time manage. I organize my time and plans in multiple different spaces. I have a book that I plan my days in and a large whiteboard with blocked out dates per each month that I can organize my weeks in advance, so things such as tests that I have in a few weeks, all my labs for the month, any events that I know are coming up, appointments, interviews, anything like that, they all go on the whiteboard, and a notebook which I keep a day plan and a week plan in, so I have all my time managed and I'm not going to forget about anything. And I also have the calendar app on my phone. It syncs between my MacBook, my iPad, and my phone, and allows me to check on any major events that I have wherever I am. An experience that I have that would assist me in being a student and student employee is that I worked while completing my grade 12 year of secondary school. So I worked through my last year of high school, which was also during the beginning of the pandemic, so I ended up working around 30 hours a week at the beginning because we did have a lot of people take leave just because of the virus. So I was working around 30 hours a week, and I was also balancing biology and chemistry, which was definitely difficult, but it also allowed me to delegate my time and learn about my limits so that I knew what was reasonable for me to complete and what wasn't, knowing how much I could work and how much I could do school at the same time. Obviously that is a lighter course load than this year, but I did manage to complete all of my courses with pretty good grades, and I did pretty good at my work. I would like to think I do like to work very hard, so yeah. The third skill I have is that my room and myself, I'm very organized, so everything in my room has a spot. All of my schoolwork stays in a certain area. I have all of my school supplies such as lab kits, my stethoscope, all of that I have in a spot in my closet so that I don't leave them somewhere else and forget about them. It really helps reduce stress for me, so that's one thing that would help me between a peer educator job and a student, is that it would help me reduce stress so I'd be able to focus more on my work and my classes because I wouldn't be too worried about forgetting anything, stressed about, just the chances of running late, not having equipment, any of that. It just helps a lot. The second question is, when working with others in a high-stress environment, describe the skills that you can take to support those around you in achieving shared success. So one of the most stressful work experience I've encountered is the Christmas season. Working as a cashier, there's always lines, you always have to multitask, there's lots of calls coming in, people have a lot of questions about seasonal items, and customers do seem to be a little impatient because they're pretty excited to get their Christmas gifts. So I find that you have to stop and organize your thoughts, your groups, and concerns among the group so that if one employee has any concerns, it doesn't go unnoticed, which could cause issues further down. So creating a plan and being able to share it among your other employees that you're working with, like for me it would be the other cashiers, it really did help because everyone sort of has an assigned task. You don't have to worry about something being forgotten. For example, whoever's working till 1, you will be doing most of the lottery, and we reused hangers, so just making sure everyone knew, taking shifts to just so that not one person was doing hangers the whole time. And when we do hangers, we basically take a bin of the ones that we took off clothing when they're bought, and we sort them in the back just so we can reuse them, and it's better for the environment. Doing this, I find, will also allow for streamlined communication between everyone, which is going to help prevent issues in the future. For example, any concern someone might have, like, oh, what about doing candy? Because sometimes we had to put some of the candy that's at the front out. It just makes sure that if there's anything that can cause an issue, it's addressed before we get started. And okay, so question 3, describe a situation where you struggled to explain something to someone or someone struggled to understand what you were saying and what you did to help that person understand. So I worked as a under 8 assistant soccer coach, and so when you're communicating with younger kids, you definitely have to communicate differently so they understand you, because they're not going to understand some of the terms or descriptions that you use. So sometimes when you're trying to explain a specific soccer move or the drill that you guys are going to be doing, they don't really understand it because it's easier to see it than it is just to talk about it. If I told them, you're going to go run and then do a 180 turn around the cone, like, it's just easier for them to see it. So that's something that I have learned and used to help them understand, was using the coach. We would both run through the drill, they could see it. If they had questions, that's when they'd ask. And you can bring this into a lot of aspects, so like not just for soccer, like you can use obviously visual aids to help other people understand, and it just helps reduce confusion and would help with better understanding on the part of the soccer players. The 4th question is, describe a time where you needed to work cooperatively with someone that did not share the same ideas as you. Describe the situation, the actions you took, and the outcome. So while I was working as a cashier, there's another employee that was a cashier that had a very different approach and mindset to the job than I did. It just caused 1 or 2 small conflicts as we went around. Like, obviously, you can't always avoid conflicts with people, so we did have a few small ones. One instance, of course, during the Christmas season, because the season's always crazy. So my coworker was planning to take their break during a rush of customers, and we didn't want the line to back up too far, and we had limited employees working in the back that day, so it would have been hard to manage the line and continue to work effectively, because the line would get back up and then the customers would get a little upset. So I was a little upset because I didn't want her to take her break while it was super busy, so I just told her that flat out and said, the line's really long, can you please wait 15 minutes, because I don't want it to get backed up more, and there's not a lot of people in the back and there's a lot to do. And she wasn't very happy with me because she was really excited to go on her break, which is understandable. Obviously, everyone has to take a break. You need to get a little rest when you're working that long. But we were able to discuss it, and she agreed to push back her break. We decided that if after 10 to 15 minutes the line didn't get shorter, she could just go for her break, because I didn't want her to have to wait too long. So it was a good compromise, and it definitely was a good outcome. We ended up coming to an understanding, and it was pretty positive. The line did end up getting shorter by the time we were planning for her to go, so she was able to take her break a little sooner, which is great, and it was very effective because it helped us develop good communication skills with each other, which we did have at the beginning, but definitely got better. And we also were able to avoid a huge conflict because I wouldn't be upset with her, and it would, just helped a lot with that. So the 5th question is, describe for us a time where you received tough feedback or criticism on a project or on your performance. How did you take the information you were given and use it to take actions following the feedback discussion? So I feel like everyone has received input from supervisors, managers, superiors on their work. It's a great opportunity to learn and grow more. And so there was one instance where I was helping to plan the advertisement setup and where we would put a lot of the products, and my manager had just suggested a few revisions, basically just told me where and how to group certain items, so things like keeping granola bars and cookies in the same area, or ends of shelves. And So I listened up to her critiques and reviewed it, and it definitely helped to strengthen the finished product. So I made revisions, and in the end it ended up probably better than it would have been when I was just doing it myself. Obviously, it was still one of my first times planning an advertisement setup, but I was really happy that she told me, because it's great to learn, and that way I would know what to do better for next time, and I can obviously learn from her because she has experience that I don't. So when it comes to planning advertisements on things like cans, obviously they're not the most balanced and they're pretty hard to stack sometimes. So her telling me to keep them stacked 2 high rather than 3 is great, because that way they're not becoming unbalanced and falling all the time, and they're easier to maintain on the shelf. So I was really pleased that she told me, and really pleased that the final product came out well. Yeah. So the 6th question is, describe for us a time where you had to make an important decision without the help of a supervisor, boss, or groupmate. What did you have to consider before making that decision? What steps came next, and what were the outcomes? So a time where I had to make a difficult decision without the help of the supervisor was working the seasonal department independently. The seasonal department at our store we had a pretty small store, so there was one supervisor, and when I started, there's no part-time workers in that department. It was more other departments like fashion and cashiers got booked in just to help out, especially on days where it's really busy with shipments and such. So this one day I was working while the supervisor had the day off, and I had to put items from the truck out. And the issue with seasonal is that because the products are changing so often, not a lot of them have like assigned spaces on the shelf. So I had to ask my manager how to go about it, and he basically just said to trust my gut and put things out where I thought they should go. Didn't really give me more direction than that, because I think he trusted me to make the decision, but that left me a little confused and intimidated on where to leave things, because when she got back, I didn't want her department to be a mess and have to redo a lot. So I sort of just started to organize, use skills that I have from other departments to help me, such as things like planning advertisement, keeping similar things around each other. If there's a bunch of summer items, keep them near the summer items. Don't put them in with like bathroom items. So I just used some of those skills to help me decide and plan where I was going to put everything. I definitely had to consider how much space all the items would take up, because if I started to put stuff out and ran out of space, I would have to redo a lot, and that would take a lot of time, especially when you're trying to get through multiple skids of items. So after planning and thinking through things, I just started to unpack items at a time. I just had to kind of go by ear. I couldn't really plan out because I didn't know the entire shipment, so I just had to kind of go through items one at a time and plan and organize. The outcomes were good. I managed to get the whole truck out and fit everything on the shelf, which was great. It means that there wasn't a lot of items taking up room in our overstock in the back room. The supervisor did say she liked it when I saw her the next time. She did end up moving things around, which I thought was alright, because it was one of my first shifts working alone in that department. So she said that was good. It's just more she was moving things for future shipments, for how she likes it, just that sort of thing. So as I worked more, I was able to pick up tips from her, see how she organizes her items, and that helps me for the future. So thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited for this application process and the possibility to be a Dawn. So have a nice day.